Hare Krishna, welcome to Corporate Bhagavad Gita. The prayers on my screen, please chant with me. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakchuranmrita Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Vadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण प्रदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभान सुदेवमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च विवासुदेवयो च पतितानां भावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome to Corporate Bhagavad Gita. Last few weeks we were discussing the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which talks about the three modes: Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamagun. Sattvagun is pure, Rajas is born of unlimited desires, Tamas is born of ignorance, illusion. Sattva gives happiness in this world, Rajas gives misery because so much of endeavor has to be done, so some misery is there, and tamas will give madness. Okay, and a lot of other things also we discussed. What happens after death if someone dies in mode of goodness, passion, ignorance? If he dies in goodness, then he goes to higher planets. If he dies in passion, he goes to middle earth, and then to hellish planets if he dies in tamas. And like this, the three modes are explained throughout the Vedas. Even in Bhagavad Gita also, 14th chapter is there. We will again visit the three modes in 17th chapter, in 18th chapter also. So various things like faith, food, sacrifice, austerity, charity, renunciation, knowledge, action, work, everything can be understanding, determination, happiness, worship of Krishna, devotion, service, like that. Everything can be categorized in these three modes. And uh, we saw one more thing. uh, we saw that the three modes spread all over us, all around us, within us, in places, music, food, day, time, phenomena, marriage, sleep, anger, tension, anxiety, like this the list can go on, and we can keep classifying it into goodness, rajas, tamas. So best is to come to goodness, okay, because it gives us happiness, it keeps us sane, it gives us clarity in life. Sometimes we need to use rajas, that is passion. Say we want to create something, we want to develop something. For fighting, anger purposes, we need passion. For many other purposes also we need passion, especially for creation. And tamas also we need it for sleep, we need it for um, other purposes also, like flood, earthquake, volcanoes, snow. For destruction purposes we need tamas. Okay, for construction purposes we need passion, for maintenance purposes we need goodness. So like this, the three modes have to be utilized properly, so that we don't get entangled in the karma. Okay, we don't get entangled in the karma, and we can perform our spiritual activity nicely. So how to transcend the three modes? That's the last thing that we read. If we engage in Bhakti Yoga, we will be able to transcend, we will be able to overcome these three modes and come to the level of Brahman. And Krishna says, I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman. Okay. Now, Krishna talks about these three modes. So, how to get out of these three modes? How to cut it? How to detach from it? That is the subject matter of the next chapter, that is 15th chapter, which is called Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. It's a very interesting chapter. In this chapter, I'll give some overview. Like I have this picture. Here, we will see the reflection of the tree in the water. Right? We are seeing the reflection of the tree in the water. Now, if we focus on the reflection, it seems like the tree is growing downwards and the roots are growing upwards. Correct? So the reflection gives a feeling like the tree is going downwards and the roots are growing upwards. So Krishna says, he gives this example. He says that the Vedas are like an inverted tree. It's an inverted tree where the tree is growing downwards and the roots are growing upwards. And this is the Vedic tree. And downwards means it is, so this is the picture that is shown. This is an inverted tree and the tree is growing downwards, roots are growing upwards. As one goes downwards, he tries to enjoy various things in this world and he keeps getting new bodies. As he go upwards, he focuses on spirituality, and then finally when he reaches the root, the focus is on liberation. Okay, so first he gives the example of this inverted tree. This is the Vedic inverted tree, and he says the leaves and all are the fruits of this Vedas, the fruits of the Vedas, and the living entity is trying to enjoy various fruits that are there in the tree. When he understands that, that this tree is not satisfying him, then he goes towards the root of the tree, which is the moksha. Another way to understand is by this picture. Again, it is the same thing, like below is the reflection of the tree and the tree is actual trees above. Now, in the reflection of the tree also we see the fruit. Let's say this is a mango tree, so we will see the mangoes in the reflection also. But if someone jumps in the river or in the pond, he jumps in the pond to get that fruit, will he ever get that fruit? No, because it is in the reflection. Same way, in the reflection we have so many relationships: friendship, parent, conjugal, and they give us sometimes happiness, sometimes distress. It's dual in nature. Okay, but this is just a reflection. So in the real tree, the real fruit is there. In the spiritual world, all this friendship, parental, conjugal relationship is there with Krishna. Okay, in the material world, all these relationships are there in a reflection. So as the reflection is temporary, things are pretty temporary in this world. But if there is something temporary, there has to be permanent. So in the real tree, which is reflected in the river or pond, all the relationships are there and they are eternal. And they are not of dual nature, they are absolute nature. Absolute nature means happiness, distress, both give happiness. Plus one, minus one, both is plus one. That is absolute nature, right? Similarly, happiness, distress in the spiritual world both give happiness. They don't give distress. While happiness and distress are two different feelings in this world. So, like this, Krishna explains the inverted tree example in the 15th chapter. And he says this is the inverted tree of the Vedas. By power of knowledge, we have to cut down this tree and progress towards liberation. That is his suggestion. Okay. So we'll move forward. We had a small recap of chapter 14 and now we'll move to chapter 15. Okay. This is a very nice chapter. It's called Purushottam Yoga. When there is Adhik Mas, once in 3 years or 4 years, there is Adhik Mas, one extra month. It's called Adhik Mas. At that point, this particular chapter is recommended to be chanted. 15th chapter. So, small chapter but very potent chapter. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhamulam Adha Shakham Ashwatham Praur Avyayam Chandamsi Yassa Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavid. Urdhva. Urdhva means upward. Moolam means root. Adha Shakham. Adha means downwards. Upwards are, there's a tree, there's an Ashwatham, there's a tree where roots are growing, Moolam are growing Urdhva. Upward. Shakha. Branches, leaves, there is growing Adha. Growing downwards. Chandamsi yassa pranani yastam veda savedavat. The Supreme Personal Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree. This tree cannot be destroyed, okay? Imperishable. It's always growing. That has its roots upwards and branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. The leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So the point is to know that this particular tree, which is inverted in nature, is the Vedic tree. When one knows that the Vedas are actually, compared to like an inverted tree, and he understands the analogy of why it is given inverted, right? Then he knows the Vedas. Any question or comment before we move further? Before I go deep into this chapter?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, when you mention Adhik Mas, is what do you mean actually? Like, is it the leap year or?
Not the leap year. Okay. This is Vedic calendar. It's called Adhik Mas. It's going to come in 2026, called Adhik Mas.
It's 1 month time. Okay.
Yeah, it's an extra month in the Vedic calendar. Okay, it's nothing to do with.
Okay.
It's the Vedic calendar. 1 month is added. Because of which, Dashera, Diwali, everything gets shifted 1 month. Like in other years, it happens, Dashera, Diwali happens in month of October, right?
Yeah.
When Adhik Max comes, everything shifts 1 month. So then it happens in November.
Okay.
So I think the explanation is given here that moon takes 27.3 days. So this 0.3 days and all that is there, na? So to compensate this,
Okay.
an additional month is added every 32 months. Every 32 months, this Adhik Mas is added. It's called Purushottam Mas also. Some call it the Mala Mas. It's called Adhik Mas, Purushottam Mas, Mala Mas, various names.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any picture or something? Let me show. No, there's no pictorial explanation. So yeah, okay, we'll go further. After the discussion of importance of Bhakti Yoga, one may question, what about the Vedas? It is explained in this chapter that the purpose of the Vedic study is to understand Krishna. Okay, so whole this thing, Vedas and all that is explained, right? Because there is one verse that is going to come in this particular chapter. This particular verse. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदय सन्निविष्टो मतः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानम् अपोहनं च वेदे च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत वेदविदेव चाहम्. Vedesh sarver aham eva vedyo. See, this particular line is there now. Vedesh sarver. Sarver means all of the Vedas. All of it. All of the Vedas. Aham eva vedyo. Aham means Krishna here. Means I. I am to be known. From all the Vedas, who is to be known? Krishna is to be known. So Krishna in later text he is going to say, of all the Vedas, I am to be known. So this is the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas is what? To know Krishna. That's it. To know Vishnu. Nothing else. So in the very first verse, the purpose of the Vedic study is to understand Krishna. There is one more verse which comes in all of the Vedas. The glories of Vishnu is explained like that. Um, Therefore, one who is Krishna consciousness, he is engaged. He who is engaged in devotional service already knows the Vedas. So those who are devotees of Krishna, they already know the Vedas. Okay, and Krishna also says this. Multiple times he says this. He says only my devotees can understand this. In our previous chapter, um, just a minute. Many a times Krishna says only a devotee can understand this. I'm just trying to search that verse. Yeah, see 13.19 verse. इति क्षेत्रं तथा ज्ञानं नैनं चोक्तं समासतः मद भक्त इति विज्ञान मद भावोपपद्यते. Mad Bhakta, very specifically, he says only my devotee. Thus, the field of activities, knowledge, and knowable have been summarily described by you. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly. So, the Vedas, only devotees can understand it very thoroughly. Everyone is very confused about the Vedas. It is such a huge body of knowledge that, uh, people are confused. When sometimes, huge, like lots of books are there, then it becomes confusing, right? What to read, what not to read, what is the real essence, right? Same happens with the Vedas, but those who are devotees, those who are in Krishna consciousness, they already know the Vedas. Just hold on. Noise. Yeah. Okay. The entanglement of this material world is compared here to a banyan tree. See, entanglement. See, the material world is like a spider's web. It's like this spider web in a material world. If you try to come out of it, we will get we'll get stuck in it, right? That's how uh, mosquitoes, when they get stuck in this, the more they try to come out of it, they become entangled in it, right? And another look at it is to compare here to a banyan tree. Banyan tree, actually, we can call it banyan tree, or we can call it if you see, there is a banyan tree in Calcutta which is 1 kilometer big. Hmm. This is the tree in Calcutta. This is one tree only. Okay, this is one tree. It's not multiple trees. It is one tree. It's called the Great Banyan Tree. This one tree is spread across 1 kilometer. I don't know 1 kilometer, but a very big, huge land. So, so if we enter into this, we'll find it very difficult to come out of it. It is very confusing inside. Right? It's like a dense forest. So here the material world is compared to a banyan tree. For one who is engaged in fruitive activities, there is no end to the banyan tree. He wanders from one branch to another, to another, to another. If one wants to enjoy in this world, then the Vedas, they they are unlimited. Just like a banyan tree, so many branches are there, unlimited. One can keep moving from one branch to another, various you know branches one can go, and it is a never ending tree. Okay, this is just one banyan tree, but this tree, the Vedas, is a never ending tree, imperishable. He wanders from one branch to another, to another. The tree of this material world has no end, and for one who is attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. The Vedic hymns meant for elevating oneself are called the leaves of this tree. The Vedic hymns are the leaves of this tree. The tree grows upwards. This tree roots grow upward. Generally, the roots grow down, but this tree, the roots grows upwards because they begin from where Brahma is located, the topmost planet of this universe. If one can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, then he can get out of it. What does it what does it mean to understand this tree? Let's say, now I always take the example like 12th IIT physics books. Generally physics, yeah, so many books are there, na? It's a large amount of knowledge for IIT physics exam, right? Same question here. What does it mean to understand this particular tree of illusion? Like, so such a big syllabus is there. If he can summarize all of it, okay, if he has gone through all of it and is able to summarize, hmm, then he knows the whole syllabus. It's like that. So if we can summarize this Vedas, then we know how to get out of it. Then we know what is the essence. Then we know everything about it, right? A summary of it will help. So this particular Bhagavad Gita is actually a summary of the Vedas in one way. The whole of Vedas are summarized in this. This process of extrication should be understood. Extrication is a very nice word. Extrication. Extrication means the act of freeing someone or something from a difficult, entangled, complicated situation or entanglement. So, art of freeing from entanglement should be understood. In the previous chapter, it has been explained that there are many processes by which to get out of this material entanglement. And up to the 13th chapter, we have seen that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is the best way. There are many processes. There is Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, right? And Krishna in Bhagavad Gita keeps talking about devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. That is the best. That is the best. Bhakti Yoga is the best. Like that. Now, the basic principle of devotional service is detachment from material activities and attachment to transcendental service of the Lord. See, when we take to Bhakti Yoga, right, we get attached and detached both at the same time. In other forms of yoga, na, there is only detachment. Okay, there is only detachment. Like in the 6th chapter, Krishna talks about Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga. Dhyan Yoga, you know what is Dhyan Yoga? Dhyan Yoga. Sorry.
Meditation.
Yes. This particular meditation poses are there, na? The chakra, the Mula chakra, various chakras and all that. This is all Dhyan Yoga. So one has to do this dhyana. So Krishna talks about this dhyana. Now he tells how to do this, how to do this dhyana. So we'll read. So he says how to practice. So to practice this yoga, one should go to secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with deer skin. This particular kusha grass, have you heard about this kusha grass? This particular grass is called kusha grass. You make a mat of it, kusha mat. For yajna and all that, they use this kusha grass. So
Okay.
use this kusha grass, spread it on the ground, then cover it with a deer skin or a soft cloth and a soft cloth. The seat should neither be too high nor too low, should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi then should sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, activities, fixing the mind to one point. Other details. One should hold one's body, neck, head erect in a straight line. Okay, and stare. Okay, we need to stare. Stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Meaning our eyes should be half closed or half open. Not full open, not fully closed. Because we have to keep looking at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. So sometimes Dhyan Yogi, they look at the tip of the nose and they chant Om. Sometimes they chant Om also. And like that, they start their meditation. Now my question to you. Is this practical? Is this practical in today's time?
It's difficult, Prabhu.
It is difficult. Okay, it is difficult. Some people practice. Okay, for that they give up job and all that. Now there are some who will still practice and do job also. But they will practice for, let's say, half an hour, 1 hour in the morning. There are some people who will do like that. So here it is complete. One should give up completely. Okay? One should go to the secluded place, forest. First of all, forest today is very difficult to access because everywhere there is concrete forest. Okay. And then our mind is always disturbed. So for common man, this practice is very difficult. Common man, this practice is very simple. See, here it is said completely free from sex life. So can a married person do this? Technically, no.
No. Yeah.
If he tries, then he can only do 1 hour a day. But to be completely free means you have to give up everything. Go to forest. That's it. So hearing this, Arjuna says this is very impractical. The system of yoga, Arjuna says, seems very impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. So even Arjuna is saying that it's impractical. He was living 5,000 years ago. There were no modern jobs. Okay, there was still forest. And there were only few towns. In that also he is thinking this is impractical. Of course, for him it is impractical because he was a king. He had to rule. Okay. So, point is that many processes are mentioned. Dhyan yoga is mentioned, Gyan yoga is mentioned, Karma yoga is mentioned. um, and some are very practical, some are not at all practical. Karma yoga is practical. Gyan yoga also is not very practical. One has to leave everything. Read so many books. Some people find it difficult to read books. So Gyan yoga is difficult for some people. Jnana means you have to acquire knowledge. So through Upanishads you acquire a lot of knowledge. Dhyan yoga means you go to forest, do meditation and all that. That is also impractical for some people. What remains is bhakti yoga and karma yoga. Of the two, bhakti yoga is considered better. It includes karma yoga, it includes the principles of karma yoga, and it adds bhakti over it. Okay. So that's why Krishna many a times he comes to this point and he says Bhakti Yoga is best, Bhakti Yoga is best, my devotee can only understand, by devotional service only you can understand. He tells it multiple times. Now the detail of this Bhakti Yoga is what? It is attachment to the service of the Lord. And because of he gets attached to the service of the Lord, the detachment, the tyaga becomes easy. He can give up lower things. I give this example. Somebody is eating poha. Poha, you know poha,
Yeah, yes, Prabhu.
flat rice, He's eating it every day. One fine day, somebody brings halwa for him. Halwa or shira, whatever you want to call. And it's made of suji. And he says, eat this. After eating halwa, he feels so nice. He says, this is sweet. This is very energetic. Will he go back to poha? Will he
No,
go back to his poha? No, right? He won't go back to his poha. Once he gets higher taste, one leaves lower taste. Same happens with devotional service. When one serves the Supreme Lord, then the lower activities, material activities, he can easily give up. He can easily give up. He won't find it difficult to give up. The process of breaking attachment to the material world is discussed in the beginning of the chapter. In beginning of this chapter, the root of this material existence grows upwards. This means that it begins from total material substance, from topmost planet of the universe. From there, the whole universe is expanded. So, with so many branches representing the various planet systems, the fruits represents the result of the living entities' activities, namely religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation. Now there is no ready experience in this world of a tree situated with its branches downs and root upwards. Such a such a upside down tree we have not seen. It is only seen where in the reflection. That means the tree is kind of false. A reflection tree may look same, but it is false. Actually, it is false. This tree can be found beside a reservoir of water. We can see the tree on the banks reflect upon the water with their branches down and roots upwards. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. So instead of using the word false, it is a reflection. Ah. Huh. Let's take this picture. In a mirror, we can see our reflection, and everything is seen. What to say? Perfect, right? Our nose, eyes, everything is there. But we know that this is a reflection and this is the real self. So reflection is actually pointing towards the real self. That is the purpose of reflection. Similarly, these Vedas, they are pointing towards the real tree. That is the spiritual world. That's why I was discussing about this picture. That the reflection is there, but it is pointing towards the real tree. It's pointing towards the real tree, where real experiences are there. In other words, the tree of this material world is only a reflection of the real tree of the spiritual world. This reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. Just as a tree's reflection is situated on water. So the desire is the water. Okay, this water body is there now. It is nothing but the desire of the living entity. The desire is what? Is the desire to go upward or to go downward? Desire is the cause of things being situated in this material reflected material light. One who wants to get out of this material existence must know that this tree thoroughly through analytical study, and then he can cut off his relationship with it. So through using our intelligence, we can understand this is just a reflection. This is not the real thing. And then we can cut off the attachment for the reflection. This tree being the reflection of the real tree is an exact replica. Everything is there in the spiritual world. The impersonalists take Brahman to be the root of the material tree. And from the root, according to Sankhya philosophy, comes Prakriti, Purusha, then three gunas, the five gross elements, Pancha Mahabhut, then the 10th senses, the Shendriya, mind, etc. In this way, they divide up to the whole material world into 24 elements. If Brahman is the center of all manifestations, then this material world is a manifestation of the center by 180 degree, and the other 180 degree constitute the spiritual world. Okay, it is telling the same thing, that the spiritual world is 180 degree other phase of the material world. The material world is a perverted reflection. So it's a perverted reflection. The word perverted is used. Perverted means corrupted, distorted. Distorted reflection. Like, this reflection of her face is distorted. Okay? But it's still a reflection. It's her reflection. This is a distorted reflection. It's not very clear. So this world is a non-clear reflection of the spiritual world. So that's why we find happiness and distress both to be, separate. Whereas in the spiritual world, both happiness and distress give happiness only. Here it is a two different feeling. When we are happy, we are feeling nice and delighted and peaceful. But when we are sad, we are miserable in this world. We are completely miserable. So it's a perverted reflection. The Prakriti is the external energy of the Supreme Lord, and the Purusha is the Supreme Lord himself, and that is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Since this manifestation is material, it is temporary. A reflection is temporary, so it is temporary. It is not false. For it is sometimes seen, sometimes not seen. But the origin from whence the reflection is reflected is eternal. So the original is eternal. Reflection, sometimes it is seen, sometimes it is not seen. So it is temporary. The material reflection of the real tree has to be cut down. So this reflection has to be cut down. How? Analytically understanding. This is a reflection. When it is said that a person knows the Vedas, it is assumed that he knows how to cut off the attachment to the material world. So if one says he knows the Vedas, then he knows how to cut. How that is happening, we will explain later. If one knows that process, he actually knows the Vedas. One who is attracted by the ritualistic formulas of the Vedas is attracted by the beautiful green leaves of the tree. So there are many ritualistic rituals in the Vedas. Everything is connected to the fire yagya and all that. And if you do this yagya, dana, etc., you will go to heavenly planets. So many things the Vedas say. If one is only interested in all these things, then he is just attracted to the green leaves of the tree. He does not exactly know the purpose of the Vedas. He doesn't know the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Vedas, as disclosed by the personality of Godhead himself, it is to cut down this reflected tree and attain the real tree of material world. Leave the reflection, go to the real person. Go to the real face. Okay, we spent a lot of time on the first verse. We'll go a little faster. Any questions, comments, you can interrupt me. Adarsh chodam prashitashtasya shakha guno pravidya vishaya pravalah adarshya munani ansantatani karmanu vanduni municharuke. The branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. The trees also has roots going down, and these are bound to fruitive actions of the human society. So what are these branches and leaves of this tree? There are nothing but fruitive actions, karma kanda of the Vedas. Karma kanda of the Vedas means
Prabhu, we stopped hearing you for a few minutes.
what? Sorry.
Actually, we stopped hearing you for a few minutes. Prabhu.
Oh,
Like there was a mute. Yeah.
there was some disturbance. You can see the screen, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. The screen is visible.
Okay. I had just started this verse number 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Hmm? Uh, Verse number 2, it is what it says is that uh, the branches, the leaves of this tree, inverted tree, are nothing but the karma kanda section of the Vedas. So Vedas have a lot of karma kanda section. Karma kanda, karma kanda. Karma kanda is all the performance of ritualistic, sacrificial for material benefits, to going into heavenly planets, all that. This is all nothing but karma kanda. So the Vedas are full of it. The description of the banyan tree is further explained here. Its branches spread in all directions. The lower parts, the variegated manifestation of living entities, human beings, animals, horses, cows, dogs, cats, etc. They are situated on the lower parts of the branches, whereas on the upper parts are the higher forms of living entities, the devatas, the gandharvas, many other higher species of life. As a tree is nourished by water, so the tree is nourished by the three modes of material nature. Sometimes we find a tract of land is barren for want of sufficient water, and sometimes a tract is very green. Similarly, when a particular mode of material nature are proportionately greater in quantity, the different species of life are manifested accordingly. The twigs of the tree are considered to be sense objects. By development of the different modes of material nature, we develop different senses, and by the senses, we enjoy varied different varieties of sense objects. I will come back to all this. Okay, the tips of the branches are the senses, the ears, the nose, eyes, etc., which are attached to the enjoyment of different sense objects. The twigs are the sound, form, touch, and so on, the sense objects. The subsidiary roots are attachment and aversions, which are byproducts of different varieties of suffering and sense enjoyment. The tendencies to a piety, impiety are considered to develop from the secondary roots which spread in all directions. The real root is from Brahmaloka, and from the other roots are in the human planetary system. Therefore, one enjoys the result of virtuous activities in the upper planet system. He comes down to this earth and renews his karma or fruitive activities for promotion. This planet of human being is considered the field of activities. So, information is given about more about this tree. So the leaves, the twigs, these are nothing but the karma kanda section of the Vedas. Okay. If we taste various fruits of the tree, various twigs of the tree, you get different tastes, right? The fruit tastes sweet, some fruit tastes sour. Okay. Some have no taste at all. So like that, this tree is giving us various kinds of tastes. So at various branches, one gets different bodies also, different type of ears, nose, eyes, etc. So different bodies, human bodies, animal bodies, aquatic animals. Hmm? So this is nothing but the trees of the Vedas. Okay. The subsidiary roots are attachment and aversion. Attachment means I want it. Aversion means I don't want it. These are two things that keep happening in this world. I want it, and the same thing after some time we don't want it. Like, I give this example of this cartoon. The iPhone comes and everyone wants it, and when they get it, they are running up and down and enjoying. Then the next year, what happens? Another iPhone comes. We are at 3G, they get 4G. We want that 4G to become more happy. For that, we do anything and everything that is required. We get the 4G, but then after 1 year, another iPhone comes. So there is attachment first to get it, then after some time you develop the same detachment. You develop hate towards the same thing. This is going on in this world. See, attachment aversion is going on. Like in children, you can see, sometimes they're attached with one toy. For many days, they will get attached with that one toy. After some time, they will throw away that toy. They are done with it. Enough of playing with it. They don't want to even look at it. Right?
Yes,
We
Prabhu.
also do such things. We are also attached and then we are averted. The root is coming from Brahma Loka, because that's where Brahma is born and he creates the whole planetary system and all that. So the root is at the Brahma Loka. When we reach at Brahma Loka, the mode of goodness is highest. Ignorance and passion, they become nil. They become almost zero in Brahma Loka. Then from there to get liberation is very easy. Okay. Uh, yeah. If you look at this picture, this is how it is shown. Various trees, twigs are there, various animal bodies, aquatic bodies, different enjoyments. As one goes towards the tree, he goes towards Brahmaloka. Here one gets the body of the Devatas, the Gandharvas. These are very highly elevated bodies, They look like human, but actually they are very powerful bodies. And from there, one has to aspire for liberation, moksha. This particular verse we will try to finish. न रूपम अशेष तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादि न संपृष्टा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरुद्धमूलम असंग शस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा तथा पदम तत्परिमार्गितव्यम यस्मिन् गतन निवर्तन्ते भूय तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यथा प्रवृत्ति प्रसिता पुराणी. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived. What is the real form of this tree? Very difficult to understand. It's a big tree, huge tree. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins. So even the beginning and the end we don't know where the foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. By tyaga, we can cut down. But we can only have tyaga if we have higher taste. Just like, if we are accustomed to eating poha, we will remain eating poha only. Unless a higher taste like halwa comes in front of us or gulab jamun, we won't give up that poha, right? So this detachment will happen when the higher pleasure of bhakti yoga is there. Therefore, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to the Supreme Lord, from whom everything began and from whom everything has been extended since time immemorial. Therefore, one should aspire to go to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha planets, like that. It is clearly stated that the real form of this banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. Therefore, since the root is upwards, the extension of the real tree is at the other end. When entangled with the material expansion of the tree, one cannot see how far the tree extends. One can see the beginning of this tree, yet one has to find out the cause. I am the son of my father is the son of such and such person, etc. By searching in this way, one comes to Brahma. We all came from Brahma. That is the answer. And Brahma came from Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Finally, in this way, we will understand, okay, what is the purpose? Finally, in this way, one reaches the Supreme Personal Godhead, and that is the end of the research work. One is to search out The origin of the tree. The Supreme Personality of Godhead through the association of persons who are in knowledge of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then, by understanding, one becomes gradually detached from this false reflection of reality, and by knowledge, one can cut off the connection and actually become situated in real knowledge. The words asanga in this connection is very important because the attachment for sense enjoyment and lording it over the material nature is very strong. We are very attached to the happiness that is there in this world, right? It provides us some happiness and we become very attached to it. Therefore, one must learn detachment by discussion of spiritual science based on authoritative scriptures. So, first we have to detach by gaining some spiritual science. So, through use of Bhagavad Gita, association with devotees, one must hear from persons who are actually in knowledge. As such, the result of such discussion and the association of devotees, one come to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first thing that he should do is surrender unto him. Sharanagati. Krishi Krishna Sharanam Mama. Take shelter of Krishna. The description of that place, whence having gone, one never returns to this false reflected tree, is given here. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the origin, root from everything as emanated. To gain the favor of the Personality of Godhead, one has to surrender, and and this is the result of performing devotional service by hearing, chanting, etc. He is the cause of extension of the material world. This has already been explained with the Lord Himself. Aham Sarvasya Prabhu. I am the origin of everything. Therefore, to get out of the entanglement of the strong banyan tree, one must surrender to Krishna. As soon as one surrenders to Krishna, he becomes detached automatically from this material extension. So, the solution is what? You surrender to Krishna, perform devotion service. Then you can give up this reflection tree. Okay. It's already 2 p.m. Let's open up for some question or comment. Any question or comment?
Um, no, Prabhu.
No. Okay. So again, we went through the reflection of this tree. So the point is that we are trying to find pleasure in the reflection, which we'll never get. Right? In the reflection, you will never taste the real fruit. You can see it, but you can't taste it. Same thing happens in this particular inverted tree of Vedas. This happiness is not very fulfilling. This is our day-to-day experience actually. Nothing to prove, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. So Krishna in this chapter he will say now how to cut this tree, how to then reach the Purushottam Yoga. Again he is going to conclude with devotional service only. The conclusion is never going to be different. In the very last end he is going to say, whoever knows me as the Supreme Person of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service. यो माम एवं जानति एवं असाम मूढ़ो जानाति पुरुषोत्तम स सर्वे bhajate ma. One who knows to be me to be the Purusha, to be the topmost person, what I'll do? Bhajati ma. One will do bhajan of Krishna. Then only he can cut down this tree. So again explain the whole thing. Okay. So any last question, comment, or can we close for today? Okay.